all companies have those two key performance indicators: revenues and costs. In this channel you saw some tools that you can use to track costs. The most basic one is a dashboard, but you can use a different kind of chart that you can when costs run like crazy, and nobody wants no control over costs unless you have extremely high revenues. But in that case, I think you are not interested in seeing this video. So with the tool you will see, you will have a, let's call it, barometer of when costs behave in a not expected way. For example, because one of your employees made a mistake with some orders, or because you use cloud services without a limit on the spending, and that is another situation, or for other reasons. This person wrote about a situation that hints about the need of a statistical quality control of costs. They said they wanted to try a line graph in Looker Studio, and they want to see this standard deviation and this other standard deviation in a band format. The standard deviation is the difference of a value from the mean, and when you have this difference that reaches or surpass this and that value, you have something to worry about. They offer an example from Tableau, and here you see the mean and here the bands, and you notice that no point surpasses those two bands. This is the problematic area if we deal with costs. So we can call this process that involves cost in control. But how can you replicate this on Tableau? First of all, I replicated some numbers that uses normal distribution, and here you see the results. And I could have used Looker, yes, but I used Tableau as the image you see here. So I brought the data on Tableau, I moved cost into rows and reading as columns, and you have to check that you put them as dimension. Same for cost. Then I went into analytics, I did the distribution band for cost, and then you have this window. Before you had a different option, but if we select for the bands the standard deviation option and we put the desired result, that is not so casual. I mean that you saw those numbers also in other videos, and we select the sample, we run OK, we have the desired results. So as you can see, in this case we don't have a process in control, because we have two numbers that exceed those bands. And if this low cost might not appear problematic, this one, yes. So one field of investigation of statistics is how to keep the cost into a normal range that is generally between plus and minus 2 standard deviations. Now you might wonder, how can I receive a notification when a number goes out of the upper band, so the process is not in control? And this is an interesting question, because, for example, Tableau doesn't allow you to set notifications for free. Same for Google Looker, because you need the Pro version that you pay, and same for Power BI, because you need the license. So the cheapest option is to return to the Google Sheet and write a custom script. This script basically reads the spreadsheet, in particular the column associated to the cost, and when it sees a cost higher than a threshold, that in this case I saw here, but I could also hard code this threshold, it sends an email to myself. Easy peasy. But in order to receive the email though, I have to go to activators and I have to show you the options. And this is on edit, where on the spreadsheet, send immediately a notification. Without this, of course, you don't receive the mail. Of course, you have to give all the authorizations since it involves Gmail. Then if we go into the executions, we see that we don't have executions because I didn't edit the spreadsheet. If I edit one value, and you will notice that all the others will change, but just because of this function, let's put a value higher than the threshold, you see something that will appear here. You see, this is completed. Of course, I didn't specify a log inside the script, so here you see nothing. The error you see here is not a big deal. Inside the emails, you see that I have the same timestamp of here, and it says what I specified here. If you want to have a notification based on statistical quality control built on Google Spreadsheet because of the limits I mentioned for the dashboards, you can contact me on the contact page of enterprisestatistics.com and you can book a call. Bye and see you the next time.